Hi, I'm Luke Searveld. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. If you do corporate video at all, you end up doing a lot of green screen. And often you do green screen interviews, and it's pretty straightforward because you can light the green separately from the person in the foreground. They're seated, they're standing, whatever. But from time to time, you have head to toe. And head to toe in a stage can be easily worked with because you put up space lights, you have kind of a nice light that fills in everything from above, the back wall, the floor, and then you add to the person from lower lights that are on the floor and keep everything nice and soft, and that works pretty well. But if you're not in a stage and you still have to do head to toe, then you might be in a large conference room like this and you don't have room for space lights. Well, so what we did here is we have the 20 by 20 green, and we've got it stretched on a 20-foot speed rail, and then we have a 24-foot piece of speed rail up above here, and we've got 3 Select 31s, and those could be regular Kinos, but Selects is what we had. So, and then for scratches, we have 2 4x4 Kinos coming in here as a scratch. So that's just sort of talking to you about the light from the back to the front. And then we were told, hey, we want to have the light be nice and soft and flat. So we can do that. and they wanted it in a daylight balanced. So we have 2 M18s going into 2 8x ultra bounces, and then those are coming back through basically a book light. So on what we call the key side, it's coming through a quarter grid, and then on the fill side, it's coming through a half grid. It's basically the same. And so to just give a little bit more from the key side, and it's infinitesimal, put an 850 Celeb behind that quarter grid, and that's coming direct through, and just giving you a little bit more here, and you can see there's a little shadow on the opposite of key. So then we found that the light on the subject was fine, but we were a little down on our back wall. And so because we're seeing head to toe, the light that's hitting the person is also hitting the floor in the background. We needed to add just a little bit more. So we added 2 ultra bounce flops sort of midway in, and added 2 S60 sky panels to that. And that brought up the back just enough so that, and the request was for a 40 IRE on the green, and then a person tends to be sort of 65 in that range IRE. So foot candle wise, we had 150 on the subject and 100 foot candles on the back wall. And this camera, we rated it at 400 and 24 FPS, and the shutter angle, I believe, was at 90. So for a f-stop, we had 4.6, so 4 split 5/6, and then on the back we had 4 and a couple tenths. So basically a half stop down on the back green. Just some thoughts about doing green screen. One thing I like to do when you're on carpet or you don't quite know what your surface is going to be, so that there isn't a lot of movement of the green. First, you sort of tighten the green with either sandbags or tape, and then I like to put underneath just some masonite so that you have a firm foundation underneath that fabric, so the fabric isn't too funky. Anyway, I've messed it up here now. So the DP on this job, Chris Gonzalez, asked that we have just a nice soft feel all around. And so you wonder, like, why don't you have any kind of direct light? Why don't you just push it through something? Isn't that going to be soft enough? Well, it could be, but in a perfect world, using the units that we can plug into the wall, M18 gives you the most bang for the buck, and putting that into a book light on either side, that gave us the softest feel possible. And often, you put Kinos directly on the green. Well, we had sky panels, so we went with bouncing those, and that gave us enough oomph to get that nice, soft, as little shadow as possible look. So there are lots of different ways to do this, but with the tools we had, this is the way we went. So that's just kind of some of the thinking behind it. Back in the day, when we'd be lighting this with strictly Kinoflows or with tungsten even, we would often put magenta gel on our scratch lights to just take some of that green spill away. These days, with how people are doing their post, doing multiple passes, it just seems like that is not needed nearly as much as before. So you still try to give the editor the cleanest green you can, the flattest, easiest to key green, but some of the things we used to do, we just don't have to do that anymore. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.